Well, Rich here, and a quick update on my 16S Arrma Infraction project, which is coming on quite nicely. I've had quite a few bits come in, so I thought people might be interested to see like what goes into building a car like this. A little bit of a steep learning curve, even for yours truly. Along the way, things jump out at you that you might not have anticipated. Now, if anybody's wondering how on earth you get two XLX ESCs in there, you do it just like that, fitting them side by side. So the body fits on over the top of the car without any worry at all. I was going to mount them one above the other, but it was getting a little bit tight. They would still squeezed in underneath the body, but a little bit tight. I was conscious that the fan's drawing in there through the top, so I want to improve the airflow on there. Also, keeping them lower down keeps the centre of gravity nice and low on the car. Anyway, let me get the camera down, show you the new toys I've been buying. So first of all, a quick tour around the car and what I've done on it so far. You will note the Power Hobby 8S batteries on the back. They fit in absolutely easily inside the battery trays. So I'm going to fit my second one down there. One battery powering each of the Castle XLX ESCs. And speaking of those Power Hobby 8S batteries, something like this Venom Pro Quad charger won't cut it because that only charges up to 6S. That's 4 by 100 watts, total of 400 watts. However, this little toolkit RC charger from Banggood, power supply on it behind the wall, which is slightly large and noisy, but this does charge up to 8S single channel 400 watts, which should make short work of charging these 5000 mAh 100C 8S packs. This is my existing one, which I was running a cat pack on, but I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do that as yet, whether it'll be warranted or not. And my next job on this particular ESC, remove these dual EC5 connectors and fit a single XT90 for connecting the Power Hobby 8S packs up. On this side, it's a completely new ESC on here, so I'm simply going to solder a XT90 connector onto there. Now, as this is a completely new ESC, I also need to change these 8mm bullet plugs down to 6.5mm ones, because these Poseidon motors that I run have 6.5mm bullet plugs on there as standard. And I say Poseidon motors as this is the existing one, and this is the one I picked up from JJ Customs down in San Jose today. Poseidon 1800 kV motors, 3900 watts a piece on 8S. That 3900 watts is equivalent to 5.2 horsepower per motor. So this thing is going to have 10.4 horsepower when it's fully sorted out. Anyway, diving on down, you can see that is the dual motor mount bracket that I've got fitted on there, and the twin ESCs mounted on a little plate above that. Just remember guys, if you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe. Now, what problems have I encountered? Well, the motor fits on easily this side. However, on this side, something yours truly had not taken into account is you've got the steering servo saver on here, and if we zoom in there, you will see that sticks out by about 4mm in there. Now, that 91mm Poseidon motor literally butts hard up against the pillar on that side, so 4mm up there. I need to on this side I need to find that 4mm from somewhere. So my next job today is to remove this entire plate and drill another hole approximately 6mm to the side of the existing one, the same at the bottom, shift it over and drill another hole 6mm at the bottom. So in doing so, I'll be able to move that whole steering servo saver forwards, and then have to cut about 6mm off the end of the arm to take into account the reduced distance between that and the front. What am I doing with the servo? Well, traditionally the servo mounts in that slot there, which mounts hard up against there. So traditionally the servo would be sat there, but I want to put a motor bang in the way of that. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is to reverse the steering servo completely, both in direction and the way it's travelling on there. When I move that forwards, there will be enough room, I've figured out, for the motor to just clear underneath there. Now, how am I going to fix that steering servo down? Well, I've been busy shopping, and I've got a hot racing Arrma Typhon servo mounting bracket. So when I've figured out exactly where to put that in place on there, I'm going to drill 4 holes in the chassis and screw my new bracket on, which will hold that servo down in place nicely. Obviously, you've got to fit the motor in there first of all before fitting the servo back in place. So to anyone who thinks this was easy, buying the stuff is only half the job, because moving that steering servo saver forwards by 6mm is going to be quite a tricky job. Now you're wondering, 2 motors, 2 ESCs, how the hell do you control that, Rich? through one receiver? Well, the first thing being, I'm going to use this Castle B-Link, but more on that in a second. But the secret to this is using a Y cable, which will take one ESC on one side, one ESC on the other side, feed them down into the receiver. And what's the point? That cable is going into the B-Link controller there. Now, you think, oh yeah, you can use that to program both ESCs using the B-Link, Rich. That is because to run two ESCs at the same time, on one of them you need to cut through the center red cable on there. Otherwise you're going to be like doubling up on the BEC voltage on there. So in fitting the Y splitter, I can cut through one of these cables as opposed to cutting the middle lead out on the ESC itself, because this ESC is about $225, so it seems crazy to cut the middle section of that lead out, whereas this Y cable, you get about 3 of them for $6. So to anyone considering doing the same as me, you want to run twin ESCs, you just have one of them with all 3 wires running down, the other one you're going to cut through the middle lead on there. Now, you're running twin ESCs, Rich. Does that mean you need twin B-Links? No, you just need the one on there. I've got a second one, which I've got for another project on it, but you just need the one. What I'm going to do is program one of these with the lead, ESC lead plugged into the B-Link. Then I'm going to switch the leads over, program the other one with the lead switched into the B-Link, then disconnect them both from that, fit them to the Y splitter, plug that lead into the B-Link, and both of them will then be running exactly the same braking program, exactly the same acceleration curve, punch level, power level, etc. And if anybody's wondering why on earth that front spoiler and splitter are taken off the car, because the hole I need to drill just to the side of where the existing screw is underneath the car is covered by where the plastic splitter fits underneath the car, so I need to take that off in order to be able to cut the hole through on the underside of the car, which is probably going to be the biggest pig of a job on the entire car to do. Even mounting the servo on 4 screws on there is going to be less of a hassle than doing that, because I've got to remove all of this, take that plate off to drill the hole accurately, measure the distance, and then do exactly the same on the underside of the car. Other than that, it's dead easy. Now, lastly, the drive shafts. I have some uprated drive shafts on order. There are some quite expensive ones which have been on sale on Facebook for like about $92 for the 2 of them. But I spotted that GPM were actually doing uprated dog bones for the Arrma Infraction or Arrma Limitless for only $16. So I didn't spend the $92, gone for the $16 ones. It took a week or 2 to get here though. And speaking of that servo, as stock, the Arrma Infraction comes, I think it was about a 15 kilo servo on it. But given the fact of that huge power increase over the stock car, I figured it was time to put an uprated steering servo in there to control any torque steer which we might encounter. That is today's update on the 16S Arrma Infraction project. It is going, actually, fingers crossed, better than I thought it would do at the minute. The only slight issue is moving that steering servo saver forwards by like a 6mm was not something that I planned on doing. Now, I would say if you're going to attempt this project, a similar type of conversion on your own Arrma Infraction, having a pillar drill is or access to a pillar drill is an absolute godsend. It will certainly be a lifesaver when it comes to drilling the 2 holes for the remounting the steering servo saver at the front, and also ensuring that I can line up the 4 holes nicely for the new servo bracket. Anyway, yours truly is going to get to work. First of all, I'm going to fit all new connectors, electrical connectors ready to the car, so I'm ready to go on that side of things. Then the next job, and the most important one, is to shift that steering servo saver forwards. That will then enable me to mount the 2 motors in place roughly on there, and that will then enable me to put the steering servo in place. Lots to take on board, a lot for yours truly to be thinking about during the course of this evening, but fingers crossed this car will be running very, very soon indeed. I shall keep you posted. I hope everyone likes this little update on my 16S Arrma Infraction project today. Thumbs up if you like it, share if you love it. Thanks for watching. And there is a link to both of these items below the video. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video, and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.